George and I are going to have a chat about the Derby now, and specifically in this part we're going to have a chat about City of Troy. Dubbed an absolute superstar by Aidan O'Brien, and he's hardly swerved from that opinion despite defeat in the Guineas at Newmarket. Let's have a look at the betting, and punters have not swerved this horse either for the Derby. 2-1. Ambient Friendly Lingfield Trial winner 92. Los Angeles 13-2. Dancing Gemini 12s. 14s Diego Velasquez. Ancient Wisdom 14s. Macduff 14s. Bellum Justum 16s. 25s. And bigger the rest. So what are we to make of City of Troy? Punters retaining faith. Aidan O'Brien retaining faith because of what he did as a 2-year-old. Unbeaten in 3 starts. The Curragh, where he won a maiden, and then he won the July course, and then George here on the Rody Mile. He took the Dewhurst in spectacular fashion, and he looked tremendously exciting this day.
Yeah, he was. He was a very, very good 2-year-old Angus, and he, after this performance, got a rated 125, which is very unusual for a 2-year-old, isn't it? And he was uber impressive. He just galloped into the ground. He maintained a really good rhythm throughout. They were concerned about the loose ground on the day, but he just ploughed through it, no problem. And the way he hit the line was extremely strong, and he finished off really. I watched that performance when he won the Dewhurst and thought he's a proper miler. Maybe at 10 furlongs, I couldn't really have him on the Derby on my mind at the time, and it was just so disappointing to see him in the Guineas blowing out Angus, wasn't it?
It was. You look what he had behind him there. Al Yanabi, Eben Shaddad, Henry Adams, Hartem. He ran so well in the Guineas. I too was thinking, OK, let's see how he gets on in the Guineas. I wasn't thinking necessarily Derby for him, although there is stamina on the Dam side of his pedigree. The Dam won the Oaks, of course. You can see why they were thinking about the Triple Crown with him. Yeah,
I just think everything I've seen from the Guineas, and we're going to look at it back now, is you can see him from stall 2. He got a little bit revved up in the stalls.
I'm not blaming that for defeat, are you?
No, not at all.
He was last in. He was in for about a second.
Not at all, but the reason why I was really against him for the Derby watching this, obviously, 1, he's run very poorly, but 2, you just look at him, Angus, he's leaning on Ryan. He never really gets into any sort of rhythm. He's sort of never looks comfortable for me, and then he's beaten so far out. Everyone's saying, "Oh, he didn't train on" or whatever. I can't have that on my mind because he was beaten too far out. You watch him, Angus.
He only went for 3 furlongs.
Halfway,
according to the data.
Halfway, he's beaten.
Yeah, he went for 3 furlongs, and then he started to get slower and slower as far as the sectionals were concerned. After 3 furlongs, he was gone.
If he'd run to anywhere near any of his form as a 2-year-old, he's going to be more competitive to at least a furlong out, isn't he?
Yeah, but we've seen the Dewhurst where he was. He was strong through the line. He's gone now he's upside Hartem, where he thrashed in the Dewhurst.
You can see
he's gone now.
Is under pressure. Don't get me wrong, they went probably too quick in this race, Angus, and the winner was given a beautiful ride by William Buick. You can see in the Godolphin colours on the far side of the track.
Yeah.
Who's just past the City of Troy now, but he's beaten so far from home, and it was 2 furlongs from home. He's absolutely walking, and that is nowhere near the City of Troy we saw last year, and I can't see that him not training on, he'd have lasted out longer than that, wouldn't he?
Well, look where Hartem is. He's in 3rd, the green sleeves, green cap. Now, City of Troy raced next to him through the race. They went hard, but Hartem stayed there and finished 3rd. City of Troy's,
I just think he's obviously wasn't right on the day for whatever reason. There's obviously something not quite right with him. And because of the even pace they went, it just highlighted it, and he was beaten at halfway. So I'm prepared to put a line through it. I've heard so many stories about why it's happened and so forth. I just listened to Aidan. He's as talented a horse as he's had. I know you hear that quite a lot, but what I saw of him last year, he's as good a 2-year-old as I've seen for a long, long time, Angus. And we saw it last year, didn't we, when he had August Rodin, who really flopped in the 2000 Guineas, and he brought it back and did it in the Derby. Yeah. But this is a slightly different model to that.
Slightly different. But I mean, we can put to bed 2 myths, can't we? One, that he got upset in the stalls and that caused him to run poorly. He was last in, and he wasn't in for very long. He was hardly. I know he got a bit edgy, but it was nothing.
He missed it half a beat.
Nothing that you'd be worried about.
But nothing that's going to make him run badly.
And 2, that he hasn't trained on.
Yeah.
We've got no evidence that he hasn't, whatever training on means.
Well,
what we've got is evidence that he can run really fast as a 2-year-old, that he's got some massive speed figures, that he's incredibly talented.
He hasn't grown and filled out and
So
turned
what?
into... It doesn't make any difference. Small horses can run very fast, can't
Well, he
they?
could run very fast when he was 2.
Exactly. So I think, for me, I'm not too worried about it. I just want to see him showing something again. And if he's back on his A game, I'm just concerned. I don't think he's going to stay. I think the way he's done all his racing has always been towards the front end, and he's an exuberant going horse. I'm just concerned that he's not going to get home. He's with the master, so they're going to factor that in, and I'm sure that they've trained him to relax and get into a rhythm.
So when analysing him and his chance in the Derby, do we just go, right, forget the 2,000 guineas. It just didn't happen for him. We don't really know why it didn't happen for him. If there was a problem, he had an issue, all of our faith is in the Ballydor teams to sort it out. So therefore, can we just look at the Derby as being his first run of the year and we just start with a clean slate?
I think so, but it's confidence, isn't it? Because we had a potential superstar on our hands, and that blip was really concerning. And it wasn't the fact that I would have loved him to get to the furlong pole and stop, and then you just go, he's not good enough. But that's not the case.
Well, or he needed it, or whatever.
But I just think I'm prepared to give him another chance. But would I be fancying him at 2-1 favourite? Absolutely not.
No, but there is. I was thinking about it coming in, and that the race is falling apart a little bit. Economics might not go. Arabian Crown's not going to go. It's starting to look a bit thin to a degree.
Yeah.
Is there just not a chance? And I've got no evidence for this whatsoever. But is there not just a chance that he'll absolutely bolt up?
Oh, it could happen, couldn't it? If he has the ability that they believe he's got, it wouldn't be a massive shock. But it's very hard with a month turnaround to believe that he's going to be back to his best. But in Aidan O'Brien we trust, because he's done it before, and he is a master, Angus. It's obviously nothing major because they're bringing him back, aren't they? Yeah. And he's probably the most valuable horse they've had for a long, long time. How he's bred, they believe that they got him back to where he needs to be.
If you're going to back him at 2-1, you are praying at the Aidan O'Brien altar and the poster that you've got of him in your bedroom, aren't you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But he's.
Well, you are, aren't you? It's 2-1 on the back of that.
How can you? I can't fancy him to win. I just hope they can get him back to some semblance of what he was before. Yeah.
All reading of the 2,000 guineas gives you no hope whatsoever. But there's just something that tells me that he's a very, very good horse, and we know that from what he did at 2.
Well,
and the downside of his pedigree, he's bred to stay.
Yeah.
And if he does stay and they've got him back, he will bolt up.
Yeah, but I'm just really concerned about his run style, Angus. I know I keep talking about it.
I get you.
He was seen to best effect in all his races as a 2-year-old when he galloped him into the ground. He was just the most amazing horse I've seen on that. And when he won at the Curragh on his first start, he nearly galloped through the boards at the end. I've never seen anything like it.
He was hard to pull up at Newmarket. He went on and on up the hill.
On the July track, he did the same thing, didn't he? He's obviously a very, very talented horse, but if he's back to form, I still just don't think he's going to get home.
I can see Ryan sitting 4th place, 2 wide, turning to the straight. And anyway, we're not sure we'd take 2-1. What about Los Angeles? Quick word on him. I quite like him, actually. I think he's a really progressive individual. He won the Leopardstown Derby trial under Wayne Lorden. He did so in the style of a horse who's going to stay very well, I think. This was over 10 furlongs, and he was only sort of rolling inside the final furlong. I was quite impressed with how he hit the line. I think he's got to improve on this. He beat stable companion Euphoric, who made the running into 2nd place, and Taraj was back in 3rd, who travelled up strongly in the orange colours, and he took a bit of motivating, but he does look like a stayer. Yeah,
he took a lot of organised, Angus, and you can see Wayne Lorden, I thought, was brilliant on him on this day. He got him rolling off that bend, hitting the rising ground at Leopardstown, and he took a long time to get organised, but at the line he's going away from them again.
Yeah.
And he's a big, sort of robust son of Camelot who
stay all right.
I'd imagine that would bring him on plenty. That was only his 3rd start, and he was quite Well, he doesn't really. He wasn't that organised. So I think racing will improve him. Will he handle Epsom as a setup of a track? It's questionable, isn't it? But
it's hard to know that, isn't it?
He'll definitely stay, and he'll definitely come forward a good bit from what we saw last time in Leopardstown. So,
and he's already a Grade 1. He's Group. He's already a Group 1 winner at St Cloud last year.
Yeah.
You know, he's already got a very good level of form. That was his first run since October. He'll come on a fair bit for that, as a lot of Aidan O'Brien's have been doing.
He will want a proper stamina test to be seen to best effect.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they'll ride him aggressively. He was, as you say, a Group 1 winner over 10 furlongs as a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
And if anything, I thought the trial, it almost looked too short for him.
I think so.
And you can see Wayne got him rolling a long way from home because he was factoring that into how he rode him. So I think he'll sharpen up a good bit for that. It was his first run after a break. And again, he literally could be anything, couldn't he? He could.
He's the one horse who could take a massive step forward from his trial.
I thought he looked gormless at Leopardstown.
He did.
And I think
a bit gawky, and he's quite big, isn't he?
He'll switch on plenty.
Yeah, we don't know if he'll handle the track, but working that out is something of a dark art. We've had an extensive chat about City of Troy and his chance, and Los Angeles as well. We're going to deal with the other horses that are to the fore of the market. Ambient Friendly won the Lingfield Derby trial 9-2. It was a big improvement on what he did in his seasonal reappearance. Dancing Gemini's in there at 12s for the Roger Teal team. Had a spin round Epsom recently. Diego Velasquez 14s and 14s Ancient Wisdom, and Macduff 16s and Bigger the rest.
The horse we're going to talk about next, again, was uber impressive at Lingfield, and I think it's a wonderful trial there because you know that it gives you a really good indication of they're going to handle the track at Epsom.
Yeah, Ambient Friendly then won the Lingfield Derby trial on quick ground. It was officially good to firm. It was a fast time success from the Aidan O'Brien trained Illinois in second. Maidan was third. The Euphrates was back in fourth place. This was a much improved performance from Ambient Friendly, who we'd seen at Newmarket fourth on return to action this season behind JRB in the Field and Stakes. It was a big step up in form, stepped up in trip. Do you think Ambient Friendly is a big player for the Derby?
Yeah, definitely. And it's really interesting, Angus. After Newmarket, they took the hood off.
That's my angle with this horse.
And he's a horse that
woke up
a lot of managing, but I think it had a really positive effect.
Yeah, he woke up.
And they're obviously learning how to manage it. I can't tell you, Angus, James Fanchell's a trainer I respect massively, and he's amazing at working horses out. And he's as good a target trainer as you'll get, and it'd be just fascinating to see how it unfolds for him. But I think the hood off angle was a big plus to Lingfield, and Callum Shepherd, who doesn't retain the ride, managing beautifully at Lingfield. Yeah,
it's an underrated angle, isn't it? It happens quite a lot. You take the hood off and they spark into life, they wake up, and I'm sure that's what happened with him. My worry with him, George, and you've ridden keen horses, he wants to get on with it a bit, doesn't he? He's quite keen.
He takes a lot of managing, and I think...
He does.
Obviously, there's been a lot of chat about Callum Shepherd being taken off him.
Yeah.
I think he's done a really good job with this horse. He's not easy, and it will be... My concern is the day at Epsom. As you know, it's full on that day, and it's very easy for horses to get wound up. Also, it's a long way to get to the start, and he's just going to be needed to keep a lid on him, because I've seen so many horses melt going to the start at Epsom over the mile and a half. It's a head-frying setup in the paddock and the buzz that's going on, and then getting to the start, horses can get very revved up. So he'll have to be well managed cantering down to the start as such.
I think he's quite a fast horse. He quickened quite smartly in the Lingfield Derby trial, didn't he? Just his keen-going nature and the fact that he's shown a lot of speed. Just a bit worried about a stiff 12 furlongs for him, but. He saw it out fine at Lingfield, didn't he?
I'm not concerned about that. The only thing, obviously, you're concerned about if he over races. So I feel he's going to have to relax and get into a rhythm and deal with the day itself, which is always a concern. So if you're thinking of having a bet on him, I think it would be really interesting to see how he deals with the preliminaries and
keep an eye on him. Yeah,
watch him go into the start, and then you can make a strong opinion.
Yeah, it's tough on Callum Shepherd, isn't it? We need to talk about this issue, but. The owner of Ambient Friendly, the Gredleys, they can decide who they want to ride their horse in the biggest race in the world, and they've gone for someone who they believe has got more experience. Yeah,
and I think I'm gutted for Callum. He's a lovely lad. He's done nothing wrong on this horse, but as you say, it's the owner's call. I had it a couple of years ago when English King was being prepped for the Derby, and Bjorn Nilsson wanted to take Tom Marquand off it, who won the trial on the horse at Lingfield. We had it a couple of years after where Adam Kirby got dropped off John Leaper of Ed Dunlop's. Luckily for Adam Kirby, he ended up getting on the winner. It's owner's prerogative, and it's their call, and they're allowed to do what they want. They pay the bills. It will be hard, but it's a great ride for Robert Havlin to pick up, and I'm sure he'll go and sit on a horse at home and start to form a relationship with it. Because that's the interesting thing for me. I think it's a horse that you need to know, you need to manage in a certain way. So I'm sure Rob will sit.
That might have weighed heavily in favour of keeping Callum on board. I'm off the top of my head, I don't know how many times he's ridden Ambient Friendly, but most times horses run, I think. I can double check.
He's ridden them twice, and then Tom Marquand rode him 2 starts last year. Yeah. But owners pay the bills and they can do what they want, and it's gutting for him, but at the same time, it's a wonderful ride for Robert Havlin to pick up, and it's just that's life. Yeah,
and I suppose Callum just has to take it on the chin and get on with the good stuff he's been doing. He's been riding really well and getting rides for high-profile yards as well. I mentioned Charlie Appleby, who was riding for the weekend at Newmarket. So he just has to keep on a roll, doesn't he? Yeah, for sure. And suck it up and move on. And these things are going to happen again. They happen to all riders at whatever level you're at. And it's just gutting, but on the flip side of that, I'm just so pleased that James Fanshaw's got a proper horse in his hands, and I would be as happy as anyone. James Fanshaw I've known for a long period of time, and his team were very good to me when I was riding. I would be just delighted for him if he's able to win the Derby. It'd be a mega day. Here. It'd be a fantastic day for the Fanshaw team, and Robert Havlin, Ambient Friendly, can do it. Let's talk about Dancing Gemini. You had a little spin round Epsom, breakfast with the stars, and Roger Teal decided that Dancing Gemini needed just to get a sighter for the track and come down the hill and go around Tattenham Corner and stretch his legs. And he ran really well when we saw him before this in the Poule d'Essai des Poulains, when he was narrowly beaten by Metropolitan. Yeah, it was a really good run in France, and it was frustrating to get beaten. It was. He made up a good bit of ground, but he shaped really, really well. He's working with a sprinter here in Chipstead, and this is, routine work all on the bridle. You can see the horse in front is being held back, but he's a very quick horse, and Dancing Gemini is just going pretty smoothly. He actually warms into it well, and I thought it gave you an indication that he's going to handle the track fine. Yeah, his dam stayed 1.25 miles. He's by Camelot, and the dam is by Australia, so there's enough there to think 12 furlongs is worth a go. Oh, for sure. I think it's definitely worth rolling the dice. I think he's got a really, really strong place chance if everything goes smoothly on the day, and he looks a pretty straightforward horse. You'd imagine they get him into a good rhythm. He looked to handle the track fine there, didn't he? Running down into Tattenham Corner. Yeah, it's hard to know, isn't it? It's pretty positive, but again, the difficulty is they're racing out off the rail there, so you just never know when you're trying to pull them round, but it looked pretty smooth there. He did, yeah, he looked smooth, and he looked pretty good in France as well. So a quick look at the market again. So we've talked about City of Troy, Ambient Friendly, Lingfield and his win, Los Angeles, his win at Leopardstown, Dancing Gemini. We've had a look at him spin around the track. Of all of those that we've talked about, which one do you prefer? I really like Ambient Friendly. I thought it was a really good performance at Lingfield. Fair enough. But interestingly, I'm looking at the price there, and I saw Dear O'Mile, who worked around the track as well for Owen Burrows. He won a very moderate race at Windsor to get his head in front. He had some good form as a 2-year-old, and just listening to Jim Crowley chat about him, I think he's going to outrun his odds of what was he 33 to 1 there. Yeah, he's a big price, isn't he? 33's Dear O'Mile. But City of Troy's 2-1 favourite for the Betfred Derby, 1st of June, live on Racing TV.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.